those of you who don't know, Glenville State College is not really a major college, though it could be a nice school located elsewhere. It makes its home in Gilmer County, West Virginia, in the town of Glenville. Now you see, Glenville is the home to nothing except beer drinkers and hell raisers. Don't ever come here. You'll culturally deprive yourself of everything larger towns and cities have to offer, which ain't jack shit. This general lacking forces everyone to become more creative, or more drunk, whichever you prefer. We get our kicks by tipping cows, shooting houses with BB guns, and taking a walkie-talkie to the local Walmart and yelling obscenities at the cart pushers on Channel 5. But perhaps the most common form of fun is stealing signs.
It's a way of life, hey, it suits me fine. Talking about a hillbilly state of mind.
Now, before I go any further, maybe I should tell you about some of these here folks. Now, you see, these people are some of my closest and dearest friends, as well as the people that were involved in this situation. First is my good friend Dwayne, and he most certainly loves that fine Tennessee whiskey. Now, Dwayne is more southern than fried chicken and cornbread, and he is what you'd call a townie, or what you'd call the rest of us folks. We don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Now, Dwayne has lived in Glenville his whole life. He lives and breathes this town, and certainly doesn't plan on leaving anytime soon. Why should he leave? Everything he has is here. His whole entire family lives in a 1-mile radius of each other, except his mama. She left him and his daddy when he was only 2 years old, ran off with some damn yuppie and never came back. I mean, she didn't even write. No birthday cards, no phone calls on Christmas. He didn't get jack shit. I mean, how terrible was that? There you are, 2 years old, and your own mama just up and takes off. Leaves you and your daddy with nothing but a beat-up Ford pickup truck and a run-down trailer. Man, I couldn't even imagine. But Dwayne and his daddy, they knew how to get by. They owned a little gas station right outside of town. I mean, it isn't much, but being the only gas station for miles, you seem to make a good living off of it. Now, the rather heavy-set fellow that's always with Dwayne and is always enjoying a large dip is Dwayne's best friend and hetero life mate, Tiny. Now, I don't think I need to explain the name Tiny. I mean, just look at the boy. It just fits. But enough talk about these knuckleheads. Let's talk about someone a little cuter, Miss Marina Dean. Now, she is one fine chickie babe. You see, Marina isn't from anywhere around Glenville, and you could tell that just by looking at her beautiful southern body. She was born and raised in Little Rock and ended up moving here late sophomore year. But behind that sweet smile, Miss Marina is one tough cookie. She doesn't take shit from any of us guys, and we all learned that the hard way when she wrestled old Charlie and ended up hog-tying him behind Cecil's barn. I ended up losing 2 cans of Coke betting on Charlie. See, he's the best hog wrestler around these parts. But I guess them Arkansas gals are a little tougher than we all thought. Now Charlie, you see, he is one roly-poly sumbitch. He's always sitting alone, sucking on that fine deer jerky that his daddy makes. Charlie is a younger feller, though, only in his first year here at Glenville, you see. I met him last summer at the Gilmer County Fair. There he was, sucking down some fine blackberry pies at the annual Gilmer County Eat-Off. Though I really wouldn't say he was eating them, more as if he was inhaling them. That's a whole nother story. Then there's Bud and Betty. Now see, Bud and Betty really ain't involved in this here situation at all. But they're always around, bumping uglies anywhere and any time. I mean, one time they were humping there behind Cecil's barn, and old Cecil heard the commotion and thought his cows were getting out. When he found out it was old Bud, he chased that sumbitch all over, up and down the holler, until he zapped his ass with that there cattle prod. I guess that's when Bud and Betty decided to keep their sexual escapades indoors. Finally, there's Jax. Last, but certainly not least. You see, Jax is a bit older than all of us, and I honestly can't even say if he is even enrolled here at Glenville. See, Jax has been on probation since he was 9 years old. He doesn't know his mama, and due to 4 armed robberies, grand theft auto, and fraud, he never had the opportunity to meet his daddy. But all in all, he's a good-hearted fella, always willing to help a friend, from an oil change in your pickup to taking your little sister to her senior prom because her date got charged for rape. Jax is always there. I mean, how can I forget that time behind Cecil's barn that sumbitch old man Cecil would have had my noggin cracked if it wasn't for Jax. But that's also another story that I reckon you need not to hear. Now, as much as I shouldn't be saying this, I reckon I have to start this here story. Now, we have a long history of stealing signs here in Glenville. We don't really have a preference of sign. We will take any and all signs, but this here sign was something special. Something that I could not resist snatching. Now the story, you see, involves a total of 3 nights, devoted to one farm road sign in the middle of nowhere, placed diagonally across from the only house for miles. The first night, Dwayne and Tiny and myself decided to depart and attempt to conquer this beautiful piece of metal. We all piled in my pickup and drove out into the deep recesses of the boonies, hoping to avoid the fellers who frown upon our boredom-induced activities. 4 Skinner songs later, we finally came across that there sign. Now, being the biggest, Dwayne and Tiny proceeded to knock over the metal pole that held that there sign. This was to make it easier for us to detach the sign once it was on the ground, you see. But in our haste that night, us knuckleheads neglected to bring any tools with us, so we just kept pulling and hoping we could rip it off. But that didn't work. Although we hadn't given up, we knew that we needed tools to finish this here mission. So with no tools, the weather getting colder, and Tiny bitching about a chubby checker burger with cheese that he was craving, we all decided to call it a night. After a night's sleep, I was re-energized and determined to have my elusive prize, but no one seemed to be around except for Charlie, so I grabbed that sumbitch and dragged his tubby ass with me. This time, we was going prepared. Charlie grabbed his old man's toolkit, and we were on our way. Once we got there, I managed to get the bottom screw off without any problems, but the top screw decided to be a little more uncooperative. While I worked on that there top screw, Charlie was on the lookout for oncoming cars and the house across the street. After some time of continuing to struggle with the godforsaken top screw, Charlie decided to take a little stroll into the woods and pop himself a squat. While Charlie was in the woods doing his business, I decided to walk up the road a bit and drain the main vein. While walking up the road, I heard some commotion coming from the farmhouse across the way. I looked up yonder and saw a feller coming down towards us about 100 yards away. I mean, golly, there we were, so close to achieving our goal, and Charlie's fat ass, stumbling into the woods, had to ruin it. I ran down past the truck, grabbed that tubby bastard, and he hightailed it out of there, leaving the tools and my prize behind. Now, the next day, I knew I had to return and get my sign. I mean, it was no longer a matter of me stealing a sign, it was a matter of that sign stealing me. So I enlisted the help of 2 people that I knew wouldn't fail me. Good old Miss Marina Dean and the man who only fears angry goats and moonshine, Jax. Armed with some new tools, renewed energy, and my new partners, I was set to conquer that sumbitch. Once we arrived at that there sign, I decided to let Jax give it a try. And that godforsaken top screw wouldn't come loose. I watched for cars, and Miss Marina Dean kept an eye on the house, making sure that we didn't have any unsuspected visitors again. But it wasn't very long at all until our night came to an end. We probably weren't even there for more than 2 whole minutes, when out of nowhere came our ultimate ball buster. I mean, it all happened so fast. There I was, not being any harm to society, just minding my own business and trying to snatch myself a goddamn sign. But as you can see from this whole situation, nothing seemed to be working out too well for me. But anyway, that was the last time we went for the sign, and we still don't have it, and our flashlights are still on the side of the road next to the fallen sign. And as I said before, we had nothing to do with that fire on top of Creek Hill Road. We was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, you see.
All right, your story checks out, but if you hear anything else, you let us know.
All right, we'll do. Thanks for your understanding.
Boy, you stop fooling around with those signs. It's a federal offense, and you're damn lucky I didn't find your ass. Now get on out of here and you stay out of trouble, you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thought that was the one.
Yeah, we'll find him. We'll find him.
I'm getting hungry. Let's go get some lunch.
Yeah, we'll go down to Mountaineer for that all-you-can-eat buffet. They got that
Absolutely.
going on for one.
Good food, good grub.
Well, I guess you can consider all of us rather lucky. I mean, having to tell Sergeant and Deputy Doofus what we have been up to back there on Creek Hill Road these past 3 nights, so that we wouldn't get in trouble for something that we didn't do. We got off rather easy. I mean, granted, the old Sarge will be keeping a close eye on us for some time now, but hey, that's life, and when you grow up living in Gilmer County in the heart of Glenville, you expect shit like this now and then. It's what keeps us going. But what really twists my tit is that damn sign. I mean, goddamn, 3 nights of running around like headless chickens behind Cecil's barn, and you'd think we would have gotten something. Well, all I know is that one thing is for certain. This is no longer an ordinary sign stealing. This is war.
Everything all right?
Everything's peachy keen, Joe Bean.
All right, then, where are we off to now?
Back up to Creek Hill Road, we got ourselves a sign to steal.
Heading down that road of freedom. Well, everybody said so, you'll never get nowhere. With my stubborn ways, well, I knew that I would show them. Can't keep some of the wild locked up in a cage. After time went by, they finally realized I was on my way. Going down that 2-lane road, stretched out across the desert, with the hot sun beating down on me. I don't know where I'm going or when I'm gonna get there, but when I do, it will set my mind at ease. I was born to be free. Looking back now, well, I think about those days, how that one summer changed everything. But